Hello and welcome to the Knowing Show. I am your host, Christene Marie. I am excited for today's topic and just the exploration of gratitude because gratitude has made such an amazing impact on my life. I had, I guess, probably 2 years ago, this thought come to me of gratitude is the antidote. It's the antidote to pride. It's the antidote to complaining. It's the antidote to ego. And so, as we examine gratitude this morning, I'm excited to kind of look through the lens of first, just really considering how does this impact our lives, and then why is it so important, and then why is it so hard. And so, kind of with that mindset, I want to actually start off today reading the lesson from A Course in Miracles, and then we'll dive into kind of a deeper exploration of gratitude in and of itself. We've been reading through a daily lesson in A Course in Miracles for the most part every day this year, and I'm excited to read through lesson 195. Lesson 195, Love is the Way I Walk in Gratitude. Gratitude is a lesson hard to learn for those who look upon the world amiss. The most that they can do is see themselves as better off than others, and they try to be content because another seems to suffer more than they. How pitiful and deprecating are such thoughts. For who can suffer for thanks while others have less cause? And who could suffer less because he sees another suffer more? Your gratitude is due to him alone who made all cause of sorrow disappear throughout the world. It is insane to offer thanks because of suffering. It is equally insane to fail in gratitude to one who offers you the certain means whereby all pain is healed and suffering replaced with laughter and with happiness. Nor could the even partly sane refuse to take the steps which he directs and follow in the way he sets before them, to escape a prison that they thought contained no door to the deliverance they now perceive. Your brother is your enemy because you see in him the rival for your peace, a plunderer who takes his joy from you and leaves you nothing but a black despair so bitter and relentless that there is no hope remaining. Now is vengeance all there is to wish for. Now can you but try to bring him down to lie in death with you, as useless as yourself, as little left within his grasping fingers as in yours. You do not offer God your gratitude because your brother is more slave than you, nor could you sanely be enraged when he seems freer. Love makes no comparisons, and gratitude can only be sincere if it be joined in love. We offer thanks to God, our Father, that in us all things will find their freedom. It will never be that some are loosed while others still are bound, for who can bargain in the name of love? Therefore, give thanks, but in sincerity, and let your gratitude make room for all who will escape with you, the sick, the weak, the needy, the afraid, and those who mourn a seeming loss or feel apparent pain, who suffer cold or hunger, who walk the way of hatred and the path of death. For these go with you. Let us not compare ourselves with them, for thus we split them off up from our awareness of the unity we share with them, as they must share with us. We thank our Father for one thing alone, that we are separate from no living thing, and therefore one with him. And we rejoice that no exceptions can ever be made which would reduce our wholeness, nor impair or change our function to complete the one who is himself completion. We give thanks for every living thing, for otherwise we offer thanks for nothing, and we fail to recognize the gifts of God to us. Then let our brothers lean their tired heads against our shoulders as they rest a while. We offer thanks for them, for if we can direct them to the peace that we would find, the way is opening at last to us. An ancient door is swinging free again. A long forgotten word re echoes in our memory and gathers clarity as we are willing once again to hear. Walk then in gratitude, the way of love, for hatred is forgotten when we lay comparisons aside. What more remains as obstacles to peace? The fear of God is now undone at last, and we forgive without comparing. Thus, we cannot choose to overlook some things and yet retain some others still locked away as sins. When your forgiveness is complete, you will have total gratitude, and you will see that everything has earned the right to love, by being loving, even as yourself. Today, we learn to think of gratitude as in place of anger, malice, and revenge. We have been given everything. If we refuse to recognize it, are we not entitled, therefore, to our bitterness and to a self perception which regards us in a place of merciless pursuit, where we are badgered ceaselessly and pushed about without a thought or care for us or for our future? Gratitude becomes a single thought we substitute for these insane perceptions. God has cared for us and calls us sons. Can there be more than this? Our gratitude will pave the way to Him and shorten our learning time by more than you could ever dream of. Gratitude goes hand in hand with love. Where one is, the other must be found. For gratitude is but an aspect of the love which is the source of all creation. God gives thanks to you, His Son, for being what you are, His own completion and the source of love along with Him. Your gratitude to Him is one with His to you. For love can walk no road except the way of gratitude, and thus we go who walk the way to God. I want to return to I guess you could say, kind of the opening first two paragraphs of today's lessons, which is love is the way I walk in gratitude. And I want to just camp out here because I think so much of the time, especially growing up as kids, I think we're taught and we learn gratitude, or it's like we learn the positive attribute by way of the negative, where it's you should be happy because at least you have food on the table. You should be grateful because at least you have food on the table. You should feel joy, feel insert positive emotion because insert negative thing is not happening to you. So we effectively learn positive character traits by way of comparison. And boy, does this just set us up for, man, it sets us up for failure. And it also sets us up where we fundamentally are assessing our lives and the quality thereof based on others. We talked about this yesterday, where it's so easy to kind of look to the right and to the left, to effectively be looking outward, to have others be the ones that assess the quality of our lives, that assess the quality of who we are, that measure our worth or our meaning. And so if we are effectively looking outward and finding our meaning, or we're looking outward and finding cause for joy, then man, we're really going to be left alone when our going gets hard and when it's our turn to suffer or our turn to go through pain. We haven't built the foundation that is going to allow for us to still find joy, to still find areas for gratitude, or even resilience and courage to move forward when it does get really hard. You know, I hadn't gone through anything really tragic until I was 21 years old. And so in one sense, I'm so grateful for that. But in another sense, I really wasn't prepared. You know, I didn't have the emotional intelligence or skill set necessary to walk through grief. We aren't taught we aren't taught these soft skills. You know, we're taught science and math and reading in school, but we're not taught how to engage with the world, how to engage with grief, how to engage with relationships. And so then when it kind of comes and smacks you in the face with death or loss at an extreme level, we're almost like, okay, well, where are the people who have gone through something I've been through? Where are the people that haven't gone through something I've been through? Well, I'm actually going to avoid them because I don't know about y'all, but for those of you who have gone through death or loss, I really only wanted to be around people who have been through that kind of loss too. When my brother-in-law was killed. And so it was a desire to find people like me because I didn't have the ability to sit with me and to process the grief, to go through the necessary emotions, because I didn't have the kind of tools necessary in order to do that. It's kind of like you're being handed a book and then we don't understand how to read. So if we go through and Asol Benjamin, I just wanted to greet you and say good morning. Y'all, just so you guys know, and I know that for those of you on Facebook and LinkedIn. You're not here on the chat on YouTube, but I just wanted to comment that for those just who are not acting in alignment with our standards of how we want to show up as a group in a community fashion, that I am going to put you guys on. I'm going to block you guys. But for the most part, I am excited to have conversation this morning. So please feel free to engage and put in questions or just things that have been helpful for you in this regard. So to that point, Assel Benjamin makes a good point. Parents are to teach us those fundamentals. And yet I don't know many parents who are taught themselves how to process emotions. And so likened to this concept of receiving a book that is thick and we have to read it, but we don't actually know how to read, so too we move through the depth of, honestly, sorrow or depth of grief, and we don't know how to engage with it. We're not taught how to do that in so many ways. Maybe your parents did and your caretakers did, and I'm so glad. But for the most part, y'all, we're kind of learning this as we go. We're adults figuring this out. And so because of that, then the question is, okay, well, what does it look like for me to walk in gratitude? What does it look like for me to walk in, let's say, a positive character quality or attribute, while also being honest about the other side of what we are experiencing? What does it look like to walk in gratitude and also really struggle with the fact that we might have lack? So this is kind of something that I think is really warranting examination this morning of how do we fundamentally adjust the internal state of that emotion that we're bringing into question or calling into question without it being predicated on the status of people around us. And so before I continue, I'm just going to drop here in the chat. Fun, cool, good to see you. Busy Garage, thanks for joining. Sir, this is a Wendy's. I like your handle. Good morning, Stinson. Hello from Vancouver, Canada. I'm glad to see you. Duval, I love that. He says, I like to listen before I engage. I love that. Stephen Randall, when I find myself in a negative place, fasting gets me back to a place of gratitude. That is so, so wise. Man, Stephen, I've only done a couple of fasts in my life. I did one that it was almost a 72-hour fast. It was like a 68-hour fast. I broke it too early. And you're so right. It's like there's nothing that will get us as close or as quickly to gratitude as depriving ourselves of something. And what a beautiful, wonderful place to be. What a beautiful, wonderful reminder. Guys, we really do have so much to be grateful for. We really do have so much that's good. When we actually take stock of what is going on around us, and actually look through the lens of, rather than, I'm looking around to compare, but I'm looking around to find gratitude. There's this concept of we will find what we're looking for. So are we looking for and intentionally pursuing that which is life-giving, that which is reinforcing the truth of just how blessed we are? Because we will find reasons to be grateful, or we will find reasons to complain. So there's really just this kind of underlying foundational question, I think, to this point of why is gratitude so hard? And we'll get to that here in just a minute. But do we find gratitude in and of itself to be an attribute worth having, even if it's difficult to pursue? So it comes back to this question of, well, who do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who is grateful? And, I shared a little bit about this experience 2 years ago where I was actually in relationship with a friend of mine, and we were just having a hard time. Like, for whatever reason, we just weren't seeing eye to eye. And, I had this moment of realizing, like, would I rather have this person in my life or not? And I realized, no, like, I'd rather have them in my life. I'd rather do life with them. I'd rather experience the benefit of having them. I'd rather experience just them being around. And I was like, okay, well, let me start looking out for the good. And it was wild how much all of the things that were seemingly negative, seemingly clouding my vision, all of a sudden became overshadowed with all of the light. So we talked about this concept yesterday night, for those of you who missed the show, For as great as the light, so great is the darkness in so many ways. Carl Jung talks about this. And y'all, it's so true. It's the same that's true within us, and it's the same that's true within other people. The thing that we're super good at or super talented at could very well be the area that we might struggle the most in. So let's say we're very gregarious or outgoing. We might end up tempted towards, actually giving too much or not being aware of how we're doing. And then all of a sudden we get burned out. Or maybe we love serving other people when we really do well and shining a light on them, but then we tend to get codependent. So for so great is the light, so great is the shadow. The same is true about other people. So the people and even the experiences, which can be so life-giving to us and that we value and cherish the most, can also have the propensity to drive us crazy the most, or we can identify the greatest problems in. This is so true of our partners and in relationships. Why is it that the people that we choose to do relationships with, that we love the most, can also be the ones that drive us the most crazy? And there's something about that I think it really warrants an examination over, man, okay, both sides to the coin. It's only fair to assume that someone or something that we love so much will also have the greatest potential to make us upset or angry or hurt. Talk about vulnerability over the things which bring us joy. To love means to open ourselves up to the propensity for pain. So are we willing to take that risk? Going back to this concept of, well, who do you want to be? Do I want to be someone who is grateful? I had this thought getting out of bed the other day where I just was laying there, my alarm went off, and I just had this thought, if I was to play the role of someone who is thankful, what would that look like? What are the attributes of thankfulness that I could embody if I was to be a thankful person? And so the same goes for this concept of gratitude. The same goes for, like, let's say we want to be somebody who shows up and gratitude really kind of intertwines throughout the way that we see the world. What are the qualities of gratitude? And I'd love to hear that from us here in the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and jump here. Kavis, good morning, Stinson. I love this. I love everybody, even if you don't like me. What a beautiful quality to have. I think that is hard. What comes from dark, the light will always prevail. One arm training. I love that. Jazzy production. Good morning. I'd love to hear y'all, in terms of what are attributes of gratitude, like this conversation, or I guess this mind exercise that I did around what constitutes a thankful person. And I'm kind of using them interchangeably. Asked Benjamin, is it gratitude or thankfulness? I think of gratitude as kind of more like of a state of being, whereas thankfulness is like giving thanks, and it's more so of a verb. But let's go ahead and use gratitude just for continuity's sake. What are the attributes of gratitude? Like, if I'm going to exist in this state of gratitude, what kind of is added to that? Like, what are the tenets of gratitude? And I'm thinking about this while you guys answer. Part of me is, well, gratitude is actually really, really present. It's able to, we talked about worry last night. It's able to see the good and able to acknowledge the joy and the good right here, right now. I think gratitude is looking with intention for that which is beautiful. There's, again, that concept of you will find what you're looking for. I think gratitude is putting up the magnifying glass and looking, kind of like Sherlock Holmes, like searching for reasons to exist in that place, to support the ideal that they hold. So it's kind of being on the hunt for, where is their beauty in the ashes? Where is their good? Where can I find reasons to support the established belief that I have? Guys, we do this regardless of whether we're trying to or not. We are constantly looking for reasons to back and support our belief. So if we hold a belief that, I've struggled with this belief. When I was 9 years old, this belief kind of came to mind of, it's me and God against the world. And subconsciously, over my years of, especially my 20s, I would subconsciously be looking for reasons to support that narrative. Same goes for gratitude. If we want to be someone who is grateful, if we want to exist in this state, then we will find supporting evidence. We find what we're looking for. So I love this. Door manufacturer says awareness and mindfulness. Gratitude is stillness. Epic MS. That's so good. President says gratitude is being thankful for mercy and grace and kindness and love. I love, love, love that. It's being thankful for mercy and grace. Man, what a beautiful aspect that you're bringing in. It really is, kind of recognizing how much we have received, and recognizing how much we've received from. I love this. I was lost, but now I'm found. Recognizing the transformation that we've gone through, recognizing how much we've needed grace and mercy, to your point, President, and then being able to operate from that place of, man, I've got from this fullness I've received, and I'm going to give from that place. Epic says chasing is not gratitude. That's so good. Oh, Jamie, I love this. As someone 16 years sober, gratitude reminds me to stay grounded and happy. You have to overcome the brain filter to beat negative thinking, and gratitude through repetition helps that. I love, love, love that. Gratitude through repetition. Man, it's like we can't ever overly emphasize the things that are good. Door manufacturer says gratitude feels active. Yes, it's it's not just sitting kind of back and observing our life. It's so active. It's searching and seeking out the things that reinforce the narrative of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the purest forms of love, Stephen says. It will bring you peace and joy. That's beautiful. Y'all, isn't that an amazing thing that gratitude is within our grasp? That gratitude, it comes from, the stillness, it comes from the awareness, it comes from a pursuit, an active seeking out. It's the result of recognizing our own need for grace and mercy, and then that's kind of the outward, I guess you could say, manifestation and response to it. But then, so it's like, okay, well, what are the practices that bring us gratitude? And then what's the result of it? And to your point, Stephen, it brings peace and joy. The result of existing in this place of gratitude is peace. So if we're like, man, I want to calm my nervous system, I want to find more peace in my life, I want to move out of depression, man, y'all, I think we could all become more of a culture that practices gratitude. And we're so rich in so many ways. There's one other line that I just want to share. I'm trying to find it. Hold on one second. Okay. Therefore, give thanks, but in sincerity, and let your gratitude make room for all who will escape with you, the sick, the weak, the needy and afraid, and those who mourn a seeming loss or feel apparent pain. We give thanks to our Father alone, for one thing alone, that we are separate from no living thing and therefore one with him. Gratitude actually means that we're kind of all-inclusive in some ways. Gratitude opens our arms up to welcome other people into this state. So if we are feeling in isolation or feeling alone, gratitude is actually the conduit to relationship. It opens the door and opens the gateway to be able to receive and to share in the goodness and the gifts that we have received. And to this point, where it says someone who is mourning a seeming loss or feeling apparent pain. This is where it's okay. Well, what is, gratitude? I was so glad, Asshole, that you said this. It's what did you say exactly? I want to repeat it back to you, or just repeat it. Okay. Where did it go? Shoot, I missed it. I can't find it. Oh no, President said this. Gratitude is being thankful for mercy and grace and kindness and love. So gratitude is aware of kind of the internal transformation we've been through. It's also aware of what is more real, like the greater truth than even here in this moment. It's okay. I know where I started from. I know the transformation I've been through, but I also know what is more real than here in this present moment. So gratitude is looking at the past, it's existing in this present moment, and then it's also anticipating an eternal future that is far greater than here in this physical world. And it's remembering that greater reality in the face of loss. It's being able to hold both seemingly opposing truths where it's like, okay, I'm choosing to examine the reality of this present moment and feel the emotions that come with that, and I'm also recognizing that, man, this world isn't the end. There's this biblical concept that says we are not ones who grieve without hope. And so with the grief, we also can coexist with hope. And that alone, it's like great gratitude is the through line of our lives in so many ways. Y'all, I'm so sorry I need to jump off. I'm so grateful to have been with you all today. I'm hoping to come back on tomorrow or tonight. We'll see, but I'm trying to get back into my early morning times of getting on here and going live. Gratitude is one of the most, oh, this is so interesting because we know that purity comes from gratitude. Interesting. Y'all, thank you so much for joining. I have a meeting that I need to get to, but have a wonderful, wonderful day. Happy Tuesday. For those of you just starting out your